Hello. This is something that I've wanted to do for some time, to do a video about doing a reading, how you actually look at the cards, how you actually do a reading from a layout of the cards. I apologize for the poor lighting here. I did my best, but I should apologize to myself because I'm the one that looks bad But in any event, I hope that you can see the cards. And perhaps I'll figure out a way to add in just a picture of each of the cards, perhaps something like that. But this is a reading that I did specifically for this video. I didn't have any particular question in mind. I wasn't thinking about any. I just said, what would be a good reading to talk about? So I'm using my deck, the Subtle Tarot, and in this deck, this is the deck that I use. And you can see that, I don't have a picture for the for the pip cards, for the minor arcana, like the 1 through 10 of the minor arcana. For example, in the Rider-Waite deck, or in my other deck, the one I call the El Ted's Tarot, or the Melissa Townsend Tarot, there are pictures in, I have, let's see, sorry. Here's the Three of Swords. There's a picture there. Each of the cards. Here's the Three of Cups. There's another picture there. The decks with pictures on them for every card are really good for learning the cards because, they give you some idea of what the card means, and that gives you something to jump off of. But once you know the meanings of the cards, it can be a lot better to use a deck that doesn't have pictures for every card. Because then, as you can see, you get, when you do the reading, you get a really strong sense of what's important and what's not. For example, this reading right here, there's a number of, there's 2 people cards, but here there's 1, 2, 3 major cards. So that automatically you get a sense of what's going on here, about what's important and what's not. And the minor cards look, as the minor cards should look, like they are they show events. The major arcana cards show, the bigger picture, the sense of what's really happening here, and or the underlying themes, what's significant. And the minor cards show, what's exactly happening. So let's look at the cards here for a bit. This is the Six of Swords. This is in the position for you, for the reader, for the person who's getting the reading. This is what's crossing the person, and this is the Prince of Swords. It came up upright, and this is something that has to be dealt with one way or the other. You have no choice but to deal with this. This is what you're asking about, and it's the Five of Wands upright, and this is what's at the base of the question. That's the Magician upright. This is what's just behind you, the Queen of Wands upright, and here what's just ahead of you, the Ace of Cups reversed. Going up the side, this is again your internal experience. This is the Prince of Wands. This is the environment or something outside of you. This is the Death reversed. This is your hopes or fears, and it's the Tower upright. And this is the final card, the Four of Swords. So just looking at this reading over, just quickly taking a look at the reading, first of all, most people would be a little put off by the fact that the Death card and the Tower show up. I don't know, it's one of those times. That doesn't always mean, the end of the world. It rarely means the end of the world, but the Tower is definitely about shaking things up and changing the structures of your life, it's shedding those things that don't work for you. So I'm going to go through the cards once again, and I'll say kind of generally what they mean, quickly what they mean, and then a sense of the reading. So, the first card, the Six of Swords, it can show a trip, it can show traveling, it shows working through something. Of all the swords, which have to do with communication and thought and the mind, the sixth is probably the most positive. It's kind of like the intellectual capability of solving a problem. So in that sense, too, it can show like solutions, that kind of thing. And Then the Prince of Swords crossing you, that can be a specific person that you have to deal with. And it's somebody who is potentially a little aggressive. Usually it would be a man for the most part, but it doesn't have to be. If it's you, it's that part of you that is perhaps kind of pushy, but also like vibrant and maybe a little bit of a bad boy, but a little argumentative as well, perhaps, or a little prone to flying off, that kind of thing. And that makes sense because here we have the Five of Wands, which shows a conflict. That's what you're asking about, some kind of conflict. And here's the Magician, which suggests that the person that you're reading for was in control, or had some control, or has some control over the situation. This is not something that is completely out of their control. There's a woman involved, or an aspect of the person that has to do with, this is kind of like a domestic home, family, contentment, really, a contented and sort of sparkling woman in a way, a woman who is contented with herself and has a good home situation and is at the very least happy with her work life, her life as a whole. And then here the Ace of Cups reversed shows some sort of desired emotional circumstance or romantic, emotional, creative circumstance not happening, or happening slowly, or happening with difficulty. Going up the side, the Prince of the Wands would sort of be in some sense, the son of this person, but or a young man. And this is again someone active, vibrant, wanting to go out and change the world and do something kind of like fun and exciting. Whereas these two are both like young men kind of cards, that kind of young men energy. This is a little bit more combative, as you might guess. This is a little bit more exploring, out on a quest, that kind of thing. Death reversed in the environment shows an environment or a circumstance that is at least threatening, like change, but perhaps is not ending, not changing. Some sort of internal change that hasn't happened, or is going to drag on, or seems more severe perhaps than it is, but is also perhaps more difficult to resolve as a result. And the Tower certainly shows at least a desire to change things that aren't working, to change the structures or circumstances of life. Sometimes that comes up with moves, or with a child leaving the home, or the ending of a relationship, or changing a job. It has to do with the structures that no longer serve you, kind of trying to, definitely, no kind of about it, changing the what's been built that doesn't allow for the full expression or the necessary expression of your spirit or energy. And then the final card, the Four of Swords, which shows somebody feeling alone. It's not necessarily neither a bad nor a good alone. It shows, and it can show a truce as well. It shows a situation in which there is some sense of isolating oneself, being a little separate for a period of time, not necessarily for a long period of time, or like I said, a truce. So the overall reading, what do we say about it? So let's say that this is about a relationship, about a situation. This would say that there's the sense of a potential conflict, and I kind of want to look at the reading while I talk, which means that I'm looking away from you, but hi. So now I'm going to try to just do the reading, see if I have an image of it up here in front of me. So if you see me like looking over in this way, maybe I should put it over here so it looks a little more like I'm looking at you. All right. So, what do I have to say about the reading? So there's definitely changes afoot. That's like really obvious because there's the death card reversed and the Tower. So somebody definitely needs things shooken up. And also I sometimes find that like while this card is the final result, because what happens is so influenced by our hopes or fears, whichever hopes or fears are like most important that they show up in the reading, these are kinds of the ones that are influencing what happens next. That's the same principle for which like doing affirmations works on. But so sometimes this is what's going to happen right away. But unless you sort of unless you move things around, this is next. And then because we are also influenced in terms of what we think and think about by our environment. So whatever shows up as most important in the environment is this. Then that. So this is what's going to happen. This is what can happen next, and this is what can happen after that. Just so that you know. It doesn't have to happen like that, but it can. So, obviously there are big changes afoot. Let's say this is about a relationship. It would seem that there's kind of like a partial solution that's been come to, or the idea of a solution or a way to solve things that's been arrived at. However, it might be that it's a little too hasty, or there's definitely something that has to be dealt with, and there's definitely perception of aggression or a need for a certain kind of aggression to make it happen. I would say that that's it. That there's or somebody is going to respond aggressively to this situation. The person that the reading is being done for has some control over the situation, and has some control over the nature of the conflict, I would say. But they are asking like what they can do about like this kind of conflict coming up. So should they think that it's all going to be happy and peppy, that's clearly not the case. Because if they thought that there was going to be like an easy solution, that Ace of Cups reversed tells you, not going to happen like that. The Queen of Wands behind suggests that, that things were good. So it can also tell you that like you can kind of mitigate the conflict to a certain degree, because there's the Ace of Cups reversed as opposed to some more drastic card in the face of, the sense of aggression and conflict. But that's still not like, it's kind of like, I thought we were happy, but we're not happy. I don't know that I can feel entirely comfortable here. Don't know how I'm supposed to understand what was a good domestic or emotional or kind of like connected interpersonal situation where I felt good about myself and I felt good about you, to now like this situation that is, not so, that it doesn't feel so good. And it does. So, and then going up the side, there's the sense of wanting to be optimistic, wanting to be, wanting to be positive about the situation, and wanting to, kind of have a sort of energetic approach to it. Let's get things done. Let's view this as a, experiment or as an exploration. Let's take a positive approach to this together. But that, it looks like there's going to have to be, it says there's a need to, at the very least, change the structure of things. It suggests that there's an internal change that has to be addressed, that either there may not be as big a change as one thinks, or there's an internal change that is more drawn out in terms of happening, but something about the structure of things has to change. Something about, where things are going, what's happening. And at best right now there's a truce, which is very much the feeling around the person as well, because there's a sense of a solution, but there's still like conflict on the horizon, and there's the lack of resolution, some sort of internal resolution, some sort of change, some sort of, powerful, internally perceived awareness that is not yet part of the picture. And the near-term future kind of like, we don't have, this is not going to be like happy peppy right away. At best, it's like, I don't know where we're going here. it's not a bad reading because it ends sort of neutrally. A truce is neutral. You know, they say that a good truce is both parties are unhappy with a good compromise. But this is more like a temporary thing. Like I have to step back and you would be telling the person you're doing the reading for that they have to step back and assess on their own. There's clearly the need for some change, but you don't want to step in with an axe where a scalpel is needed, or with a wrecking ball, given that it's the tower. All right, that's this reading, and I will try another one and see how that goes. All right, bye.